Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Talk English to Me, the podcast where we chat about all things English in a fun and relaxed way. I'm Gautier, and with me today is Santa.
Hi everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that everyone can relate to, eating at a restaurant. It's a fun experience, but it can sometimes be a little stressful, especially if you're not comfortable speaking English. So stick with us as we explore useful phrases, tips, and all the essential vocabulary.
That's right, Santa, and if you want to level up your English skills, this is the episode for you.
All right, so you're back with us for another deep dive, and today we're going to be looking at
a really cool transcript, actually.
Yeah, this one I was pretty excited to get into it. I mean, who doesn't love talking about food?
Especially eating at restaurants.
Right. So this one comes from English Podcast Zone. It's a YouTube channel. So, we pulled the transcript, and we're going to be looking for all those key phrases, all those little vocabulary nuggets.
The ways that we can really unlock.
Yeah.
Talking about restaurants, comfortably and naturally.
Exactly. So think of it like this. By the end of this deep dive, you'll be equipped to recommend that perfect little bistro.
Ooh, a bistro.
Yeah. Or, maybe warn someone about a place where you got some dodgy food.
Oh, yeah, food poisoning.
Oh, yeah, the dreaded food poisoning.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Let's jump into it.
All right.
So right off the bat, they hit us with some key vocabulary, which I think is smart. Get those definitions out of the way.
Yeah, build that foundation.
Exactly. And the first one is food poisoning. They really emphasize, it's not a good thing. And I think we can all relate to that.
Yeah, it's one of those universal experiences nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah, you eat something bad and your body's like, nope, not having this.
Exactly. And they don't sugarcoat it.
No, they're very straightforward about it, which I appreciate.
Me too.
Then we move on to allergic, which is another really important one to understand, especially when you're, ordering food.
Especially at a new place, right?
Right. And they give some really clear examples like someone who can't eat seafood because they have trouble breathing.
Or common allergies like peanuts or milk.
Yeah, those are classic ones. And the key phrase they highlight here is needing to stay away from the allergen.
Right. And that's so important to be able to communicate that clearly, so you can enjoy your meal safely.
Exactly. So, they lay down this foundation with the vocabulary and then they jump into a little bit of dialogue.
Yeah, they actually give us a taste of how these words are used in a real conversation.
Exactly. And right away, you hear people tossing around restaurant suggestions, which, is really what we're interested in. How do people actually talk about this stuff in everyday life?
Right. Because we can learn all the vocabulary in the world, but if we don't know how to use it,
it's useless.
Exactly. So this dialogue gives us that real-world context.
And I think it highlights how much we rely on each other's experiences when it comes to food. Like we trust our friends' recommendations.
Oh, absolutely. Word of mouth is so powerful.
Absolutely. Okay, so now we get to the good stuff, the language takeaway section.
Yeah, this is where the gold is.
This is where we find those phrases that we can actually start using ourselves. So the first one that jumps out is check out, which they explain as basically look at or go see.
Right, and I love the examples they use, like check out a new cafe that just opened up.
Yeah, see if it's any good or
check out the new phone that just came out.
Yeah, or even check out a new shopping mall.
Right. It's about exploring something new and forming your own opinion.
Exactly. Then we have bistro, which for me just evokes this image of a cozy little French restaurant.
Yeah, it's like that perfect in between, not too fancy, not too casual.
Right, like a step up from a fast food joint, but not a white tablecloth kind of place.
Exactly. Like you said, it has that cozy vibe.
Yeah, and I feel like it often implies a certain style of cooking, too.
Definitely. Okay, then we get this phrase that I personally use all the time. Not all that crazy about.
Oh, me too. Me too. It's so useful.
It's a polite way to say you don't like something without, being too harsh about it.
Right, it's like a softer way of saying no thanks.
Exactly. Like they say in the transcript, I'm not crazy about shopping. I'd rather not spend the money.
Or maybe you're not crazy about jazz music and you want to switch to something else.
Exactly. It's all about expressing your preference without stepping on anyone's toes.
Yeah, it's a really valuable social skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about tasty. They make an interesting point here that say that English speakers actually prefer tasty over delicious in casual conversation.
And I've noticed that too. It's funny, right?
It is. I think delicious can sometimes feel a little bit formal.
Yeah, maybe a little over the top sometimes.
Whereas tasty is just like a solid, dependable compliment for food.
It gets the job done.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, last one in this section. In the mood for.
Oh, this one is all about those cravings.
Right. What are you feeling like right
Yeah,
now?
exactly. Like maybe you're in the mood for pizza tonight instead of your usual pasta.
Or maybe you're not in the mood for a horror movie. You'd rather watch something lighthearted.
Exactly. It's about expressing your current desire or inclination.
So useful. Okay, so we've got all these great phrases, and now the transcript suggests we listen to the dialogue again.
And I have to say, this is where it really clicked for me. Hearing those phrases used naturally in a conversation.
It just makes it so much clearer.
Yeah, you start to pick up on those subtle ways that people use the language.
And your brain starts to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Like you're not just memorizing words, you're understanding how they fit into the bigger picture.
Exactly. Okay, so now we move into the fluency builder section, and this is where they really focus on making recommendations.
Yeah, because that's a huge part of talking about restaurants, right?
Absolutely. So for asking for suggestions, they start with the classic, do you have any suggestions?
Which is always a good go-to.
Right, but then they also offer some alternatives like, do you have any ideas or do you have any thoughts?
I like that they give us some options.
Yeah, it's good to have a few different ways to phrase the same thing.
Plus, it can subtly change the tone of the request. Like, do you have any thoughts? It's maybe a little more open-ended.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, and when it comes to actually giving recommendations, they focus on two main phrases. I'd recommend giving it a try.
Classic.
And then you've got to give them a try, which sounds way more enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah, that one's like you're really vouching for the place.
Like you had an amazing experience and you want everyone to know about it.
Exactly. And then they bring up this really important point about pronunciation, the use of contractions.
Oh, yeah, like I'd instead of I would, and you got to instead of you have got to.
Right. They emphasize how using contractions makes your English sound so much more natural, and it also helps you understand spoken English better.
Yeah, because in movies and TV shows, and even just in everyday conversation, people use contractions all the time.
All the time. So getting comfortable with them is huge for fluency.
And the transcript actually recommends listening to the dialogue again this time, focusing on how those contractions sound.
It's all about training your ear.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a ton of useful language, and now we get to a little personal anecdote from Erica, one of the hosts of the podcast.
Ooh, story time.
She talks about a time when she got food poisoning while traveling in Morocco.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she had some fresh squeezed orange juice and ended up feeling really sick on a bus ride.
Oof. Can only imagine.
Yeah, she thinks it might have been the water used for the juice, but she's not totally sure.
And that's the thing about food poisoning. Sometimes you just don't know.
Right. It's always a bit of a mystery.
But it definitely brings that vocabulary word to life.
It does. And it makes you think about, food safety, especially when you're traveling.
Absolutely. You have to be a little more cautious in unfamiliar places.
All right, so to wrap up this deep dive, the transcript mentions a quick audio review where they go through all the key vocabulary words.
Yeah, it's like a final recap.
Exactly. So they run through checkout, which means to look at something you find attractive, then fantastic, which means extremely good.
Decor, meaning the style of decoration in the mood for, meaning wanting something specific.
Light, as in easy on your stomach. Bistro, that small, trendy restaurant.
Tasty, meaning delicious, or good outstanding, meaning excellent.
Allergic, having a negative reaction to something, usually food.
Hole in the wall, a very small, often inexpensive restaurant.
And of course, food poisoning, getting sick from bad food.
It's like a rapid-fire vocabulary drill.
It is. And they also point out that the original audio has example sentences for each word, which is super helpful.
It is. It gives you a chance to hear those words used in context.
So there you have it, folks, a deep dive into the world of eating at restaurants.
You've got the vocabulary, you've got the phrases.
You're ready to make those recommendations, ask for suggestions, and navigate those tricky food situations.
And when you think about it, these are conversations we have all the time, right?
All the time. So being comfortable with this language can really make a difference.
It can.
So here's something to think about. Think back to the last time you recommended a restaurant to someone. Or maybe you had to explain a dietary restriction.
Or maybe you even had a less than ideal food experience.
How could some of the phrases and vocabulary we talked about today have helped you in that situation?
It's worth reflecting on those experiences and seeing how this new knowledge fits in.
Food for thought, literally.
All right.
Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.
That's it for today's episode. We hope you found these tips helpful for your next trip to a restaurant.
Yeah, we hope you'll feel more confident when ordering in English. Don't forget to leave us your feedback and subscribe to Talk English to Me so you never miss an episode.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon for another fun topic.
See you next time, and enjoy your meal.